legs. We got it in the background. Well, hi there. I have had a lot of trouble figuring out how to get on here. I set up the stream on an old YouTube account that no longer exists. And I kept trying to figure out how to deal with that. Gave it up. Tower of Naphtali, not Nettie State. So a fish room today just had to fix an open tap without knowing how to turn the water off. Oh my God. Ugh. Lord, that's a mess. Goodness, nice to see you. Well, we got a bit of a crew here. I should do that opening again. It's really kind of cool. Although most of you didn't see it. Let me see if I can get it back. I don't even know if I can. I think I can. Well, that ain't it. That's it. That's it. All right, you ready for this? There we go. Is that cool or what? Noah! So Noah, why Noah? What is this Noah? It should be readily apparent to any of us who are keeping fish and have more than a tank, have 2 or 3 or 4 or more tanks. We are Noah. We are doing it. We are doing exactly what is called for, exactly what's required. We are saving some species, saving some little animals that otherwise just aren't going to make it. And it's so clear when you look at the really delicate biotopes on the earth. They're all failing, every one of them. The only ones that are not failing are those that we are supporting. And we're supporting them by buying the sustainable catch that the people living in those areas are achieving. You know, when the Payaba, the fishermen, the native ornamental fishermen in the Amazon, you know when they're able to catch fish? They're able to catch them in the dry season. After the floods, after the wet season, after the floods have receded, and what's left are little puddles, some big puddles, some small puddles. As those puddles are drying up, and all of those fish that are trapped in them are doomed to die, these folks go out and they catch them, and they bring them back and they ship them to us, and we keep them alive sometimes for years. These are animals that would be dead. Now, that's not what's destroying the biotypes. Not at all. That's just natural selection. That's the way that system works. What's destroying it is just a combination of things. And global warming is not among them. Global warming does not hurt tropical animals or tropical plants. If anything, it benefits. Because the warmer the temperature is, the more secure the animals living there are. It is logging, which cuts down the trees and creates what's it called? Creates mud flowing, silting. It creates silting, creates mud and dirt going into the water because there's nothing holding it back. Mining is utterly devastating. Mining that's done in water, it uses water, and it typically the miners add mercury because mercury attaches to the gold and makes it easier to get these tiny flakes. But it also poisons the water. Farming, cattle going into a stream or a creek destroy it. They destroy it in the same way that that runoff from God, my brain's not really working very well tonight. Runoff from trees being felled and the undergrowth being destroyed, such that the soil that the undergrowth holds is no longer being held and is simply washing into the creeks and streams and rivers and wherever and clogging everything up. Farming, mining, logging, and guess what else? And this one's really interesting. You ever watch a video about native people who are going out and fishing by collecting certain sap from certain plants and trees and throwing it into the water, and it has a numbing effect. It causes all of the fish to float to the top. Have you seen that? Well, that's not what it does. It doesn't cause a numbing. It doesn't just stun them. It is a toxin that kills everything. It kills everything. This is not an ancient practice. Were it an ancient practice, it would have been stopped ancient years ago because it destroys whatever it's put into. No, YouTube has presented to native people around the world an opportunity to go in and kill everything so they can get a harvest. And they're discovering that that's what it does. It kills everything. Everything. Kills the microscopic life. Kills the bacteria. Kills the fungus. It kills everything. And it leaves it a dead, swampy, rotten, putrid mess. So those are what destroy these little biotypes. It's not the guys going and harvesting everything. Catch it all. We'll catch it all. Get it all. Get it all. Catch it. Ship it up north. They'll buy it all. Ship it up. Kill them all. Get them all. It's not the way it works. You know, that's nonsense. It's utter nonsense. Just not the way it works. The way it works is they're being destroyed. And they're being destroyed at the rate of a species a day. There are species living in tiny little environments. It's the only place in the world they exist. Maybe one pond. Maybe one little bend in the river. One species is there, it's nowhere else. And when that's killed, when that's wiped out, when that's destroyed, it's gone. Thousands and thousands of species have been destroyed that way, not just fish, insects, animals, plants, you name it. Noah. That's what Noah is doing. Noah is saving. We are saving little animals from extinction. So, the Noah Project. What's the Noah Project? Well, I don't know where it's going to go. Maybe it'll just fall flat and not go anywhere. I don't know. But what I would like to do is I would like to begin by interviewing people. Just having folks come up and talk with them about what they're doing in their fish room, what they're doing with their fish, how they're keeping fish. Preferably people who've been at it for a while, but I'm not going to shut down somebody who just really wants to brag on what they're doing, because it'll be a learning experience for them and for us. And then what we'll do is put all those together. I think I'm going to put them on Patreon if I can get a bunch, as a way of showing what folks are doing. And then from there we can do more. We'll do our part. Melted butter. Just added a pearl gourami to my father fish style heavily planted 12 fish community tank. Leopard val on hornwort for the win. That's a pretty fish. Pearl gouramis are such a pretty fish. They're an easy one to swell, relatively. Easy one to spawn. The males are it's probably the only gourami. Shouldn't say that. It's the only large gourami you can keep that isn't going to turn into an absolute beast. The pearl gourami is a gentle fish. His cousins, not so much. But if you can get a pair of pearl gouramis, there's a good chance you'll be able to spawn them. And they're not going to hurt anybody else. They're not going to attack. They're not an aggressive fish the way so many gouramis are. The blue gourami, for example. A killer. It's a killer. It's I mean, you name it, there are a bunch of them. And none of them are nice. They're all pretty fish. They're interesting fish. But boy, you can't keep them in community. They're just way too aggressive. But the pearl is perfect. The pearl is just, I don't have any right now. It's a fish I always enjoy having. I should get some. There are other kinds of gouramis too. I've got these little Valentes back here. I don't know if I see any. There's one back there. These are the chocolate gouramis, which come from, where do they come from? They come from a jungle in Indonesia. There's one back there. I'll think of the island in a minute. Maybe. Terrible when you get old. Brain quits working. I only see one. There's one. Just scared them off. That's a very gentle gourami. Well, let's see. What we have here, this is the new project. And you can see it's definitely cleared up. I did a video about this. It has right now about an inch of litter in it, leaf litter. I'm going to do more. I'm going to get it like an inch to 2 inches thick and get a lot of microfauna going in it. and see if we can't get some babies. I think we'll be able to do it. These are crevenses. Those are pseudomachills. I think there's some native uh, bluefin killies in here. There's a red pleco, a couple of, what are they called, rabbit snails. So the fish look happy enough. And the tank is no longer mucky. Now I put a couple of pounds of mud in here. Actually, it was sort of dried material that I had collected from a creek, and put it in a little styrofoam box that would leak. They always leak. It leaked and left it kind of mud. So I dumped that in there, a bunch of that. Frank had collected some material at one point, amazing stuff. He found a dried out pond bed that over years and years of refilling, I think it had stream going through it, but it dried out and was loaded with plecos and other kinds of fish, and they died year after year and just formed this composite bottom that was hard like a rock. I've still got some here somewhere. I don't know where. I'll have to look for it. He brought a couple of buckets of this stuff in, and I put it in tanks, and it doesn't disintegrate. Not easily anyway. It's kind of, tenacious. It's sort of a semi-stone, but it's just loaded with minerals and biologicals and whatever. So I've got that in a few tanks. That's part of what I put in this tank, as well as some muck that I collected from a local pond, and a lot of leaves, catappa leaves. I had a bag of them, and I collected a bag of oak. Now, I've got more oak somewhere, but did I use it all? Nope, here it is. This is live oak. So we'll put some more of that in. Fish Tropic Canada. Hello, hello. Yeah, let's just put some more of this in. I want to keep it up until I get this really thick. Can you see what I'm doing? Big hands full. There's dirt in this too. There's sand in it. So that's going in there too. I collected it from a local park under a couple of trees. So now it's made it so cloudy you can't see into it again. Virtually black. So we'll see. So, project. So, the NOAA project. One of the features of this concept that I'm not going to hold anybody else to, but I'm certainly going to hold myself to, is creating tanks by taking advantage of nature and natural processes. I'm kind of on a tear about this because I think it's important for people to learn that nature is absolutely using the principles and the practices of nature. It's absolutely the way to keep an aquarium fish. It absolutely is. Every time I talk about bringing anything in from the wild, the first thing that pops into people's heads is parasites and bacteria. Aren't you afraid of parasites and bacteria? Aren't you afraid of getting disease? As if The natural world is filled with parasites and disease, as if the natural world is incapable of coping with parasites and disease. The problem is our lack of respect for nature, which is why we can do all of the crazy stuff we do, including all of the unintended consequences that we derive from our attempts to try to save nature. Nature doesn't need saving. Nature also doesn't need us to leave it alone. Doesn't need either of those things. There's no such thing as leaving it alone. Leave it alone. Oh, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Leave it alone. It'll be fine. Nonsense. Nonsense. We are a function of the natural system. We're a practical. I had somebody write me a comment this week. They said, beg to differ with you. Human beings clearly are in conflict with nature. We're destructive of nature. We don't belong here. We throw things out of balance. We're obviously put here by some destructive force as terrorists raging across the planet. And there are those who do that. And there is a mentality that does that. But that's not the nature of our relationship with this earth. The nature of our relationship with this earth, which goes back to our throughout our history, is to be caretakers. To be caretakers. Now, I'll grant you there are people who are not caretakers. And those are the very ones who say, I leave it alone. Just don't touch it. It'll be fine. Just leave it alone. They're the ones polluting, fouling everything, doing what they're doing without any notion of the consequences of their actions. There are also those who choose to do nothing, who choose not to be helpful, not to be supportive, not to have hands and heart, but to just be prissy about nature. Nature is not prissy. Nature is nature's pretty tough and pretty resilient. Skull Aquatics. Hey, Skull Aquatics. Let's see. What do we need to do here? I need to get back where I belong. Well, that's interesting. I lost my channel. There it is. That ain't it. Is that it? Well, there. Thank you, Tower of Natali. Let's see. Huh. Glory. I'm having trouble finding myself here. The Noah Project. 14 watching. Okay, there we are. Text. The Noah Project. Live chat. 14 watching. Okay, there's there. Classbox Hero. Hello, hello. Nature knows best. Nature does know best. And all we really need to do is take advantage of live chat. in order to be able to have the most successful little environments we can possibly have.
Nature knows best.
Skull Aquatics,
Nature
got
does know
Stankovic,
No, we
Fish
really
Drop
need to
Canada,
take advantage
Glass
of
Box
that.
Hero.
In order to be able to
Hello,
have
guys.
the most
Nice to see you
successful
all.
little environments
Glass
we
Box
can
Hero.
possibly
So, is there anybody who would like to come up tonight and share with us what they're doing? I haven't started scheduling people to do this yet. This is only the second one of these I've done. I suppose I'm going to have to do that. Howard Van Tassel. Hello, Howard. Nice to see you.
to do this.
Where's Father? Fish Tropic says. What is he talking about?
I suppose
Imagine buying tweeter and
Tassel.
washing all that money away.
Where's Father?
Nature versus Elon. Oh, well. Oh, Twitter. Imagine buying Twitter and washing all that money away. Well, yeah, we'll see. That's a lot of money, isn't it? We'll see what that's going to turn into. There's an echo since you opened YouTube. Is it still there? I don't know why it should be. Let me there. Am I back? I'm back. Joshua Bone. Towers, so we did that. Melted butter. Wendelove. Are you just putting creek gunk and lays over the top of the deep substrate? Yes, basically, that's exactly what I'm doing. Essentially recreating the stream creek in my aquarium. Yeah, that's right. It's exactly what I'm doing. I got some extra leaves, but mainly I'm pulling stuff out of the wild. In order to get the diversity, there's no other way to get the diversity. And I want to have enough going on in that substrate and deep enough that it doesn't all get eaten up. Because I want to get fish spawning in it and babies growing in it. That's really the plan for this, is to try to get that deep enough that it becomes a nursery for baby fish. And I'm going to try more than one species. I'm going to do mostly tetras, maybe little gouramis, some of the little pseudomcgills, those kinds of fish, small fish that I can keep in small colonies. But I'll also get some apistos in there that can live in that litter and breed in it. It's a 40-gallon breeder, so it's big enough to be able to do a little bit of that. I'm not going to be able to go crazy with it, but I ought to be able to get 3 or 4 different species of fish spawning in it. I'm going to put some natives in too, like some of the pygmy sunfish, the Elosoma. I also have some scarlet batis I want to put in there if I can find a female. I think I've got some females back here. Try 3 or 4 at least, including some Cory cats. Might be able to get Cory's plecos, just, whatever I can do. Eventually, I'd like to be able to do this on a much bigger scale. And there.
Stewards of the planet. It's exactly right. Some see us as fungus of the world. That's those who don't understand the nature of fungus. Fungus performs some very valuable and important functions in the life cycle. Without it, leaves don't break down. Fungus is critical breaking down leaves so they can be eaten by microfauna. So yeah, I understand what you're saying, but it's it's part of the same problem. People who want to take the position that human beings are what's wrong with everything haven't figured out how to be what's right with everything in their own personal lives. They're merely representing who they are with their philosophies and their attitudes. I mean, I'll say it more plainly. Anybody who thinks what's wrong with the world as human beings needs to work on themselves because they are what's wrong with the world. They are the very human beings they're complaining about. It's that old, you got one finger pointing at somebody else, three of them are pointing back at you. You're three times guiltier than the person you're talking to about the very thing you're concerned about. See, it's all projection. Anytime anybody's got something nasty to say about somebody else, they're just trying to pass the buck. They're just trying to blame somebody else for their own sins. And I think that's universally true. The virus of life, the last box says, the virus of life. Imagine buying two, yeah, we did that. That's interesting. And Elon Musk. Let's see. Bass Queen, hello, hello. Ebor Millie. Hi, Ebor. All right, Skull Aquatics. We need to get somebody up here. Somebody screw up your courage and click on the link. We're all friends here. Howard Van Tassel. Hello, Howard. Good to see you. Chris Trapp. How was Monday? Well, I went to a podiatrist this morning. I picked up a little glass splinter from, I dropped a box of what are they called? These little things. Slips. I dropped a box of, a box of microscope lined slips on the floor. And of course they shattered into a million pieces. And I tried to clean it up, and I wound up walking on it in my barefoot. And I got a microscopic tiny piece of glass in my foot. It didn't bother me for a month or so. And then all of a sudden, it bothered me a lot. So I went to get that taken care of today. And he took care of it. I've got a bandage on it now. I mean, hopefully he couldn't find it. So maybe it was just the wound. Anyway, I had to pay 20%. $250 was 20%. What's that? $1,200? $1,250? Yeah, $1,250 he charged for that hour, of which my share was 20%. So then he said, you've got hammer toes, and I have a way of fixing that that's real simple and easy. And I said, well, that would be great because I'm walking on my toenails. I should be a dancer. So we checked that out. It's another $250 per foot. Per foot. So I'm going to put that one off for a while. Start, got a little money put aside, getting through the month with some cash in the bank that I can put into savings, and there it goes, dribbling away. So I'm not going to do that. Anyway, Glassbox Hero. When I say we're the virus of life, I'm talking about how we try to fix all the world's problems. Yeah, the problems were created by us in the first place. Yeah, really, really, true enough. Yeah, the perfect example of that is this Lacey Act amendments, which is an attempt to solve for all time the problem of invasive species. Ooh, invasive. There are 20,000, count them, 20,000 animals currently living that's imported animals, animals from other parts of the world brought into this country, living in people's homes. 20,000 species. Of those, something under 100 are problem invasive species. That's 1 in every 200. I was going to say 2,000, it's not. It's 1 in every 200 species are problems. Now, these problems are worked out on a local level. They're state fisheries and state environmental agencies that deal with these issues. So what these prissy senators have done in their vaunted wisdom is say, okay, we're going to fix it so it'll never be a problem again. We're going to not let anybody do anything. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Just keep it away. Keep it away. Nothing can come in anymore. Nothing. Just only a couple of things that you buy lots of that we're going to just let come in anyway, just because they're so popular. We don't want to do something unpopular here. You see. The nonsense of this, the nonsense is astounding. 2 of these very popular items that are to be right on the top of the list of permitted are, guess what? Goldfish, which is probably the most invasive animal in this country, and giant plecostomus, the most widely shipped animal, the fish animal in the industry. Those are going to be fine. They'll be allowed. The 2 biggest problems we've got, they're going to allow. So, obviously, this has nothing to do with protecting the environment from invasive species, since they're allowing the most invasive species to run roughshod over the country. It's not what it's about. It's about shutting down animals being kept by private citizens. It's about keeping people out of nature. It's about something that is fundamentally demonic. It is demonic. It is malicious. It is destructive. It is in the purest sense evil. It is evil because it denies the legitimacy of human beings caring for the natural world. It rejects that out of hand. Doesn't acknowledge
at all the fact that there are thousands of species right now in private collections that no longer exist in the environment anywhere in the world. They're extinct in the wild. They exist only in captive populations by private citizens. Perfect example, axolotl. Now, I heard they did find a population of them in a little ditch somewhere in South Mexico. God bless them. I hope they survive. Not a lot of likelihood they will, but they are not only surviving, they are thriving in private collections. There are millions and millions in private collections. It's not the only species, there are many others, countless others. All of that is abandoned. When this law was passed in Australia and in France, the first thing the government did was go after private collections in an attempt to destroy any private collection that had items on it that were not listed on their vaunted white list. And the people, to their credit, the hobbyists, rebelled. They said, like hell you will. And there were enough of them saying that they backed off in France and in Australia. France is now breaking down the wall of the white list and getting back to a blacklist that's controlled in local environments. Brazil has done that finally. They've seen the error of their ways. They've seen how destructive this kind of whitelist policy really is. Australia may be a lost cause. I mean, God knows. We here in the U.S. think of Aussies as these strong, independent people. Well, by God, they seem not to be. I mean, they've got governments that are about as tyrannical and as ultra controlling and domineering as it's possible for a government to be. I don't know, talking about France. They did re-elect Macron. But Le Pen got 42%, and that's up from 18. So anyway, politics is it's part of it though. See, politics enters into all of this. It's a critical part of it. So not talking about politics and not talking about religion doesn't really get you anywhere. It just boxes you off from the world. So you can't talk about what's really going in the world because it's somehow, it's the same mentality. Don't touch it, leave it in there. It's just, we didn't want to talk about that. That we won't. No, we don't talk about that because people get upset. Well, it's time people got upset. And it's time we got people upset about things that are frankly upsetting. We're not allowed to talk about things that are bad. We need to talk about things that are bad if we're going to fix them. Right? I watch the numbers as I do this stuff. They go up and they go down. Amazing. Last fox. People hate zoos, but many zoos are actually keeping species alive. We have elephants and cheetahs born all the time at the St. Louis Zoo. I was talking with a friend of mine who owns a zoo. In fact, he would like to be a sponsor of NOAA. I don't know what we do with sponsors at this point, but he wants to be. But I was talking with him about that, and he said the problem with zoos is that they're not interested in that little gray fish that's not very colorful, that's going to be extinct. They're interested in stuff that's flashy, that's colorful, that's interesting, that's unique, that's going to you know, that people are going to be excited about. So zoos are really not. They're really not an attempt to protect species. That's not their role. Their role, if anything, is educational and recreational. You know, they have giraffes and elephants and monkeys and baboons. And you know the deal. If they have fish, aquariums are the same way. Aquariums have magnificent displays, but they're not common little species that you know that only the hobbyist loves. So it's up to us. Perfect Circle 1000. Hello, Perfect Circle. Nice to see you. Let's get you wrenched up here. And don't get me wrong. I don't oppose zoos, not by any stretch. I love zoos. I love what they do. I love aquariums. I love what they do. But they're only part of the answer. And they're primarily an entertainment recreational kind of answer. They're really for major species, you know, they certainly are doing something to protect major species. But the kinds of stuff we're concerned about, there isn't an aquarium in the world that's dealing with, you know, the little Mexican live bearers, for God's sake. But we are. And we're doing it in such numbers that we're genuinely protecting that species from extinction by having a large enough body that they can be maintained genetically as a healthy breeding population. Bass Queen, if you let them control anything, they slowly move to controlling everything. Talking about the mafia, obviously. Oh, government, right? Same thing. St. Louis Aquarium has a massive tank filled with local river fish. Yeah, Chris says, never seen a zoo saving endangered bettas and killifish. Yeah, it's kind of the point. You know, there may be an aquaculturist in a public aquarium somewhere there's really got a thing for killies and a killie display, but in general, that's not their function. That's the function of us. That's the function of the private collector. And that's a vital function. It's a vital part of the whole process of protecting nature and protecting species. And it's not, my problem is that we are not acknowledged by those who write laws, by these vaunted government brats who think their wisdom is the only wisdom that matters. And the truth is, their wisdom is the least important of all of the wisdom. They're supposed to be open to conversation. We're supposed to review these things. If this law goes through, if this amendment goes through as law, it will not have seen the light of day. It will not have been discussed at all. And it will affect a $10 billion industry. How is that helping? This is bad. It's as bad as it gets. It really is as bad as it gets. And there doesn't seem to be anybody in DC who's got enough of a brain, enough wit to see and understand reality. You know who the last president was who kept tropical fish? There's one you don't know, I'll bet. Theodore McKeldin, God. Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt had aquariums in the rotunda
And is it called the rotunda? No, that's in the Congress. And what's the circular room in the White House? He had the walls lined with aquariums. That was in the 30s. In the 30s. Nobody's picked it up since then. Wonder if those aquariums still exist. I'll bet they do somewhere or other. Kenneth. Hello, Kenneth. Nice to see you. Good to have you here. Government's a symptom of a sick society. You know, when the Lord said to Moses, appoint judges to adjudicate conflicts between people, the people decided that wasn't good enough. They wanted a king. They wanted somebody to roll over them. And God didn't want that. But we got kings, and we got them now. It's not the design that we should have in place. You know, it's authority, the whole question of authority. In our country, particularly under our Constitution, authority should be vested in the individual. Isn't that what our Constitution is really all about? The authority of the individual? Now, clearly, we have a need for judges. We have a need for people to adjudicate their differences. What we don't need is a bunch of people sitting somewhere like in Washington, D.C., spending money like it's raindrops in a flood. Money they haven't even got to do every vaunted, wonderful, magnificent thing they can think of. Look what we did, boy. Look at that. Look at that. Built that bridge. That bridge didn't go anywhere. That's the greatest bridge I ever built. Oy. It is their duty to disobey corrupt laws. Absolutely, Chris, if and only if you're willing to accept the consequences of disobeying that law. That's what civil disobedience is all about. It's not about breaking the law and hiding out. It's about breaking the law in the light of day and suffering the consequences of that unjust law. That is the nature of civil disobedience. If you're not willing to go to jail for your principles, then you really don't believe in your principles. You're just trying to get away with something. So, yeah, I agree. We must disobey corrupt laws, but we must also be absolutely willing to suffer the consequences of those unjust laws, because that will get them changed. That's when laws get changed. When people suffer from corruption. We haven't seen enough of that. Too many people trying to get away with things and not trying to say, hey, put me on the cross. I ain't going to live with this. See, we've lost our religious foundation. That means we've lost our sense of morality, our sense of absolute right and wrong, where everything is just a little gray, a little shady, you know, dance around it a little bit, do a little jig. That's the problem. What else? Well, there it is. God's saying public aquariums are beautiful, but nobody goes there to see archerfish. Well, maybe archerfish, or Achilles or Gambusi or Geophagus, or else there's Plecos. Yeah, that's the idea. That's really true. You're absolutely right. Glass Fox Hero. It is our job to save the smaller species. Absolutely. Let's see. Perfect Circle just got 4 German blue rams, series 29. They all get along. 5 cheer. They'll get along until they don't. 8 neon, 6 pandas, 3 coolies, a betta, powdered blue, and a honey. Honey grammies are nice. Powdered blue probably okay. I'll tell you what's going to happen with those blue rams. Once they get into the spawning condition, 29 gallon. That's what I got back here. The males are going to squabble. And when they pair off, that pair is going to terrorize every other ram in the tank. So here's the rule. Once you get 2 of them that are paired off and that are trying to nest, you want to get the others out of there. Put them in another tank, give them a chance to do the same thing. Otherwise, they're going to be dead. I mean, it gets bad. So they're fine for now. Leave them alone. You did okay. But once they pair off, then you need to either take that pair out or give them the tank. And I would frankly recommend you take them out and put them in a tank by themselves, because that's a sure way to be able to get fry and to be able to raise up a population of rams. Native Aquarium exhibit in Cleveland. Larkin and working, says Atkins. Good to see you, Atkins. Atkins was on last Wednesday. Catch his video. It's really excellent. I'm so excited about his fish keeping. He's an advanced hobbyist. He probably doesn't even really think of himself in those terms, but he absolutely is. He's doing what the most advanced hobbyists struggle to do, and he's pulling it off. He's a young man who's doing some things that are really remarkable. Anybody who can maintain a group of tanks and have a different pH in every one of those tanks based on the species in the tank is doing something pretty remarkable. I don't do it. I don't even try to do it. I'm just too lazy, I guess. There have been times when I've done it. I've done it with some of the Borneo. That's the island I was thinking of. Borneo gouramis, like the chocolate gouramis, that require very soft acid water. These are in about 6.5, so it's still acceptable. Let's see. You're commanded to disobey when those that govern are corrupt. We are indeed. Heavenly Zion's government, Perfect Circle says. Amen to that. How are the salt tanks going? Well, I tell you, we can look at them. It's a little scary. I put a sea urchin and a starfish in here, and they pretty well wiped out all the plants. So I'm going to take them out and get the macroalgae growing in here again. You can see it's growing like a forest in here with these mollies and killies. But it's gone in here, and that's what's happening. There is one fish in here, and there he is, a mandarin goby, who's been in here for 6 months. And I think it's the only fish in there. It's the only one I've been able to spot. There's something down there moving around. What in the world is that? A snail, maybe. Yeah, I think it's a snail. See it crawling around? What is that? Can you tell? I can't even tell. I'm going to bless it. What is that? It's coming out. It's coming to get us. What is that? That's weird. I don't want to turn around and take the camera off of it. I'm assuming you can see it. What is it? Is it a snail? I don't know what that is. It's a cephalopod, I think.
coming right up to the glass. Anyway, there ain't a lot in there. I'm going to take those two out and then get this going again. And this one, glory. I don't know what to do with it. It's just the fish are healthy and they're strong. They're vigorous. They're doing their thing. What I might do is pull the Achilles out and put them in the other tank and let the mollies have this tank. The Achilles are pretty cool. They're hiding now. They're the shyest of the fish in here. But I got a male Achilles that's 6 inches long in here. I caught him in a minnow trap. Every single one of them were in the trap at the same time. I've never caught him since then. But the trap one time, I put the trap out and leave it for a week or so. Then I go back and check it. And I got gobies a couple of times. And I got these one time. Mostly I don't get anything. Anyway, saltwater tanks. I'm kind of losing interest in them, so I need to do something to pique my interest so I don't bring them down. Take care, Digitech Man. Good to see you. Just had it with everyone around me laying down, Bass Queen. I seem to be the one to refuse to be trampled on, being told I don't have a choice. You always have a choice. Yeah, we've become a nation of cowards, no question. No question at all. Except, I really believe that there is, I really believe in the silent majority, I guess. Really believe there's just a massive number of people out there who are willing to tolerate so long as they can do their thing, basically, and keep their family and their home and their business, their work going. But it's becoming increasingly difficult to do that. Kenny D, it's a really sad day when government only thinks what can benefit themselves. They have so many useless laws. Maybe hopefully they'll reach the highest court in the land. That's if they're prepared to do anything. Biggest average size you'll see most Oscars grow. Well, the problem with Oscars is they never stop growing. I've had Oscars 16 inches. And an Oscar can probably get 3 foot in the wild, or in a pond where it doesn't have any predators and is pretty healthy. In 50 years, it'll grow to 3 foot. Average size for a tank, probably 6 inches. I get them back. I used to get them back at that size. I put them in a pond and grow them out more, and then they'd wind up going into ponds. Yeah, I think that's going to do it, Chris. I think prices and shortages are going to do it. That's what's going to get people really riled up. And we allowed this to happen. We absolutely allowed it to happen. We allowed corruption to come into our government and to take it over and to run it. We have a criminal cabal running our government. Nobody disagrees with that. Everybody understands that perfectly, except maybe the people who are doing it, and they just don't want to admit it. But we all know it's true. We've given up the notion that people in power should somehow face the justice of their criminal behavior, as though that's never going to happen. We need to get over that to the point where we have a government of law and order, because we don't. We have a government of corruption and power. How much longer are we going to tolerate it? That's what this hobby is facing right now is corruption and power. Power for its own sake. Corruption based on doing not what is needful to do, not what is right to do, but what is politically, they think, politically profitable to do. USL Services. Hello, USL Services. Good to see you. Nice to have you with us. We're going to wrench you up there. Everybody gets to be a monitor. Danican. Hello, hello. Good to see you, Kenny. Nice to have you here. Fast Queen. One more project I have to take care of, and I'm ordering the biggest mollies you can find me. I just need a deep freeze, and I'm caught up. Well, sailfins, they get the biggest. These are saltwater, but I can get freshwater sailfin mollies. I found a place where they're living in soft acid water, as a matter of fact. They're not big, but they'll get big. I mean, I can get them at 2 to 3 inches. Atkins, I buffer my water, keep a lot of wild-caught first generation from wild, mostly South American cichlids and other saltwater fish. Haha. Do I still have a turtle? No, I do not. And I had one. I had a, I don't know what I did with it. I think I put it outside. I had a mud turtle. Don't remember what I did with it. It may have gotten out of the tank and disappeared. I did find it on the floor at one point, so that's probably what happened. I haven't seen it in a long time. So we have to vote. Yes, you're right, Cody. We do indeed. Yeah, perfect circle saying Atkins Nature Aquariums. Right on. That's what I was assuming. Yep. Hmm. What time is it? 11 after 10. When did we start? 9. We've been here for an hour. Look at this. Amazing. Filled an hour. Does Frank have the siren? Yes, he does. Frank has the siren, and it's doing really well. It's doing fine. We've been trying to find some more. Do you ever keep aquatic frogs in your tanks? Yes, I do. I got 1 or 2 in the 55, and I've got 1 or 2 in the 30. So I've got a couple. I really like them. They're so cool. I've never spawned them though. What I need to do is get a whole bunch of them and set them up in a tank and feed them blackworms and get them spawning. I'm going to start buying blackworms for a club. I can get them by the pound. Yeah, crawdads get away all the time. They do. They crawl right out of the tank. I worked on a farm at one point where he was spawning aquatic frogs, the pygmies. It's a pretty simple system. I need to do that. All right, we're down to it. We may as well knock it off. I'm going to be back Wednesday. I think what I'll do is try to get somebody lined up. Danican, if you're still here and you're available on Wednesday, I'd love to be able to interview you and show off some of your tanks and talk about how you're doing your fish room. If you're open to that, I've been thinking about getting you because that would be ideal. Alex is going to come up. He's kind of tied up right now. I've got a few other people lined up for down the road, but need somebody for Wednesday. Danican, if you're available Wednesday, I'll call you in the morning and see if you're up for that. My black extra finned angels have wigglers. Atkins, good job. Nice. Scott, don't feel bad about turtle. We get Texas toads. They come and go in the living room. Leave water dishes under
their tables so they don't croak. That's funny. That's funny. Well, they keep the bugs down, won't they? 9 o'clock. My time, 9. That would be 6, I guess. Your time. Are you home by then? Can you do it at that time? ABC. Hello, hello. Good to see you, ABC. Want tadpoles? I've got a tadpole here somewhere. I just saw it yesterday. Oh, here it is. Matter of fact, look at this. Tadpole. I don't even know where it came from. Must have come in pretty tiny. But there he is. Tadpoles can be dangerous. Little ones are pretty good food generally, but when they get bigger, they'll attack fish. If you got babies, there's a good chance they'll eat them. You just got to be careful what you're doing. Bunny Viper. Hey, Bunny Viper. Nice to see you. Are we getting an answer? Noise is going. I wrote it. My American bullfrog tadpole took down a lot of them and fish. Yeah, that's right. They do. They do eat fish, particularly the bigger ones. We'll get noisy boy wrenched up here. Corporal, minute before the end. Nice to see you. 6 p.m. your time. 9 my time. Yes. 9 o'clock my time. Will that work for you? It'll be 1 hour. We won't go longer. And if you need to go shorter, that's okay. We can do that. ABC. One's wonderful. Look forward to it, Kenny. That would be terrific. I think everybody would love to see your tanks. I'd love to see your tanks again. I haven't seen them in a while. And I got some questions too, because I want to do mud skippers. Shipped out 85 rainbow shiners today. Good job. Was that overnight? How did you ship them? Got to be overnight. If you ever watched Boss Aquatics, he put a pond in his basement with a view on the side. Nice. Nice. Thank you, Chris. Nice to be here. ABC. Bunny says. When did you want me to come up, ABC? How about Monday? Next Monday, ABC. That'd be great. We got Kenny coming up on Wednesday. We can get you up next Monday. Wonderful. I need to start writing this down. Let me make a list. I knew I was going to wind up having to keep a schedule for this stuff. I wonder if I got a pen somewhere. That would be good. I got a brush. That won't work. I got a big black marking pen because that's what I'll have to do. So, Kenny, that's the 27th, 427, and then ABC is going to be, and I'll set these up so they'll be posted. ABC is going to be the 2nd. That'd be 5152. Right, 52. Next week. Wonderful. Well, thank you guys. It's delightful. We're going to make this happen. Appreciate having a chance to chat with you. Good to be with you. Always fun to hang out. 5 bags full of fry. So. Was that overnight or 3 days? How'd you do it? How did you ship them, ABC? Priority or overnight? I finally shipped some rams overnight. I got tired of losing them. 3 days, they don't hold up. Any advice on bluefin killies? Most of the males died. Well, no, not really.
Did you catch them wild or did you buy them? You know, sometimes some fish like that'll come in with something wrong with them. If you get them, generally, I don't collect much in the middle of the summer. I collect in the spring typically. Oh, Atkins is on a night shift. Wow. So, all right. Bluefin killies. I don't know. I've not had that happen. Unless something killed them. I mean, something killed them. But I mean, like maybe another fish. They're not real squabblers. Let me look into that a bit. I'll see what I can find out. I really have not had that happen. Caught them locally. Um, it may have had something to do with the whole process of bringing them in and setting them up in a new system. You might check your pH and so forth. If they went from hard to soft water, that would do it. Hard from like 8 pH to 6 pH, something like that. That would wipe them out. Bass Queen, everyone, please pray. I have some amazing guppies coming, and UPS has me worried. I hear that. Not quite, roughly an inch fry. Pretty good size. It's got other natives as well. A new addition to the Denikin house, a 7-inch wild-caught wolffish. Wow. How cool is that? Well, we'll look forward to seeing that on Wednesday, Kenny. Wonderful. All right, my friends. Bless you all. Good to be with you. Let's see if we can put this. I don't need to do this. Do I need to do this? You want to see it again? Where is it? Right there. And is it playing? I think it's playing. Yes.